Welcome to another episode of Clarity TV. Clarity TV is where we have conversations with service entrepreneurs and we ask them about their journey and how they go about the work that they do. Because at the end of the day, if we don't know, if we don't have clarity on our journey or where we're going, we can't go anywhere. So today we have another amazing entrepreneur, service entrepreneur. Her name is Dr. Jane Tornatore. And Jane is a therapist, speaker, and author, and she's based in Washington State, Seattle. And she has been in private practice. I think I've met Jane maybe 5 years ago, and I adore Jane. And I've been kind of first row witness of her magic. She's been in private practice for 15 years. Her style incorporates compassion, curiosity, deep listening, and heartfelt optimism, along with powerful shots of playfulness. Jane has dedicated her career and her life to helping people love themselves and have self-compassion. Welcome, Jane. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm very excited and nervous.
Thank you for sharing that. I love that you're nervous because people listen to podcasts or watch kind of recordings on social media, and they just say, they can do that. I can't do that.
Right.
People don't get nervous. Those people don't have self-doubt. And the truth is that, we get over that, right? We have those feelings. We just are committed to the work that we do. And whatever we do, we overcome, we get over them, or however we deal with them, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we actually move through the fear. The fear never goes away. It's just we're acting with the fear there. I know for me, every time I try something new, I get very afraid because I'm a perfectionist, right? And I have to do it perfectly, and I can't when I do it the first time. So, but what I've finally come to realize is, I'm afraid, I'm a perfectionist. I'm not going to do it right. That's okay. And so the fear comes along versus, I'm afraid I shouldn't do it, which I think is what stops many of us.
I love that you kind of, rephrase that for me, is that we actually take it with us. And I don't know if you're aware of this, but and I'm going to extract it from what you said, because this is what we do in this podcast, right? We teach our audiences how to become better or overcome something. And you just shared your proprietary system.
Right.
Whenever I'm about to do something new, I feel something.
Yes.
And you then said, you didn't say it this way, but you basically, what I understood is, I pay attention to that something.
Mm-hmm.
I become aware of what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
And you then, step two, you listen, because even though the feeling doesn't have words, it actually does.
Right. It's telling us.
It will tell you, it will give you information if you make space. So step one, make space. Step two, listen. And step three, decide. Whatever it tells you, I'm afraid, then you decide and say, I hear you, fear inside of me. Let's come together, right?
Right.
So thank you for that. You already gave us so much value.
Yay!
So, let me ask you a question. What is a moment in your life that kind of was a before and after?
What a question. So I think for me, probably the biggest shift point in my life was when I was in graduate school and I was dating the man that I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with. And here's what was really interesting. Before I was dating him, I was thinking, it'd be nice to know I'm lovable if a man loves me or not. And I just knew that this was a belief system I had. If a man loves me, I'm lovable, I'm worthy. And I remember sitting in my living room one day going, well, I guess I'll never know if I'm lovable or not without a man, because I'm going to spend the rest of my life with this one. 2 weeks later, we're breaking up, literally. And it was like the universe heard that and went, oh, no, Jane. You are here to learn to love yourself and help others love themselves. So you're going to figure that out. So I did not know this at that point, so I took the breakup really hard. And at one point, I was considering killing myself, because if I'm not valuable without the love of a man, why be here? I'm just kind of a drain on the world. And then I was reading a book one day that said this sentence: the other person hurt you once. you hurt yourself 1,000 times with your thoughts. And at this point, I had not talked to this man in 2 or 3 months. And I was like, oh my God, that's totally true. That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm like stabbing myself in the heart with how I'm not worthy, right? And it was like, he's no longer doing this. This is me. Yeah. And at that point, I decided, I'm not going to continue this journey of being a victim. I'm going to figure out how I am lovable. And
another great, so at that point you decided.
Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm.
At that, because usually when we feel when we put ourselves in the role of victim of whatever situation, mm-hmm. there's never choice when you're a victim.
Never choice. Yes.
You just an algae in the current, right?
Right.
Or however, that analogy, I don't know, it's kind of weird, but
right.
You have no power. But that moment you read those words and said, wait a minute, to take some perspective, I have a choice.
Yes. I chose to figure out how to touch into my worth, which had oddly always been there. When I always knew I was lovable, some part of me, some still quiet, deep part. I just forgot about it in the turmoil of choosing to be a victim. until I, exactly as you said, made the decision. Yeah, this victim thing, this sucks. It sucks to be a victim, right?
I told you a story. It just happened to me last week, but I think you gave me the perfect way into my next question, which is, what is something that has always been with you? A common denominator, belief, trait, characteristic, way of operating?
It is two things, actually. One, that at my core, I believe everyone is lovable, including me. And two, I've always, and I think I got this from my mom, that whatever I really want to do, I'll figure out how to do it. Even if it feels impossible. And as a perfectionist, almost everything feels impossible to do it perfectly, to do it right. But those two together, it's like, oh, but I am lovable. Everybody's lovable. And since I'm part of everybody, I've got to be lovable. And then, well, I'll just figure out how to make that happen then.
Yeah.
So I think those two things together kind of propelled me on my path.
I love that what you're saying. What I'm hearing is that at the foundation of me is lovable. This is this weird noise in my head that says maybe not, but curiosity was stronger. It's like, okay.
Yes. And I think at the base of it, all these wacky beliefs we have, which create us turmoil or trauma or pain, they're just beliefs we learned. They're just thoughts we learned and kept thinking, and therefore we believe they're true. And like one of the things I frequently say to my clients is, nobody ever comes out of the womb. No baby ever comes out of the womb going, I suck. I don't deserve to be fed. Right? Yeah, nobody comes out saying that. We learn that we're flawed, that we're not lovable, that we're bad, that we're, you name it. They aren't inherent aspects of us. They're beliefs that we learn from life.
That's so true. I mean, I have 4 kids, and I have to say, let's say about my daughter, she's wonderful. But as a little girl, she would dance and she would sing, and she was just, it wasn't about whether she danced or sang well, like a 2-year-old, 3-year-old.
Right?
Now 18, oh no, I can't sing. It's like, trust me, you can sing.
Right.
I heard you singing in my kitchen.
Right.
So let's talk about your work. So, we just talked about this core belief that you're lovable. So let's translate that into your work. What is that core idea or core element that you bring out with your work?
That's a fabulous question. Nobody's ever asked me it that way before. So you'll get a spontaneous answer.
Great.
Honestly, the core element of my work when I work with my clients is helping them be okay with being human. because we're here in these fallible bodies and these fallible brains, and we're all doing the best we can. Like we're bumbling along going, I'm living, what do I do now? And somewhere along the line, we learn these beliefs. And somewhere along the line, by that, I mean, many of our beliefs we form before we can speak. You know, science has shown that by the age of 5 or 6, our view of the world and who we are in it is solid. That's why many of our adult beliefs feel so wacky, because we formed them when we were 5 or younger. So my core thing is to help people be aware of what these beliefs are, and then awareness with kindness. And that's the key. That's the huge part of what I bring, is because I'm an anxious perfectionist. I'm very judgmental on myself, much less than I used to be. But when we can be aware of what we actually believe and how we act from those beliefs with kindness, then we have a choice of whether to change it or not. Unless we're aware, we can't, as you said, we can't make the changes unless we know what we're thinking, unless we're present to what is actually happening. Does that answer your question?
That makes a little sense, and I think it's actually, again, you planted my next question beautifully, because I mean, you work in the space of personal development and emotional development, right? And personal growth. So what are some myths? I'm going to give you a hint, because I think it's something that just started within our conversation, but what are some myths that people, maybe other practitioners practice, or people looking for personal development and emotional development might buy into, and it doesn't really leave them in a growth stage, right? It might leave them more depleted. Almost like if you were a nutritionist, there's like the diet fats, right? What are the personal development fats? And you kind of unintentionally, but I'm very grateful for, you corrected me at the beginning of this interview when I said we overcome our nervousness, and you take it with you. That's just one example, right? And I think I'm going to guide you towards the conversation of positive affirmations, or there's a lot of stuff out there of all the things we can do to better ourselves. We can meditate. We can,
zillions.
And there's like a perfection paralysis, because if I don't meditate perfect, then I'm worse than I was before. So about that, all these fad kind of processes that make us feeling less worthy.
Right. Actually, I have a great story about meditation, because I had that like, if I meditate, then I'll be enlightened and I'll be calm and I'll never have any problems or stress. And well, that's not true. I've been meditating for over 30 years at this point, but I wasn't starting meditating.
It helps, but it's not the answer to everything.
It's not the answer. It certainly helped. And people reflected that to me. They're like, wow, you're so much calmer. I'm like, I'm still pretty excitable, right? But I had to do it perfectly, which meant in my mind, you had to sit straight and, have your fingers like this and go, and for half an hour, 45 minutes of quiet mind. Well, that doesn't happen. And so I was talking to somebody who's like, I want to start this practice because I know it's helpful, but I'm not doing it. And she said, try 5 minutes. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I set my little timer for 5 minutes. And for some reason, I knew enough not to try to do the right way. I just thought, I'm just going to sit here for 5 minutes and pay attention. And Dolores, within a month, because I was meditating for half an hour every single day. Like I was rearranging my day to meditate, because that 5 minutes, within the week, I'd like set my timer for 5 more minutes. I was like, oh, this feels so good. And it literally, I did it because I wanted to, not because I should do it. And, it's been a consistent practice ever since. But I finally let go of there's a right way to do it. And I did it because I would get up. My mind was never silent. That didn't happen until like 3 years in. But I would get up and I would feel calmer and better and just a little more in touch with myself. That's really all meditation is. And it's not for everybody, but I had unmedicated ADHD and I could meditate. So it's more possible than we think.
Yes. So tell me about other myths of that people fall into in this journey of self-acceptance and
Right.
stuff.
Right. One that I get a lot of pushback from is people think if they are hard on themselves, if they beat themselves up, they will actually get to where they want to be. They'll be better. They think, no, if I'm really hard on myself, if I make myself meditate for 45 minutes every day and really beat myself up, if I don't, I'll actually meditate. Well, it's exactly the opposite. We create more tension towards that thing we really do want, but because we're beating ourselves up for not doing it, we actually make it more difficult to do. It's like we're having this inner, like, ugh, I don't want to do it. It's so stressful because I suck when I don't do it. So we're not going to do it. So being kind of like, oh, I can meditate for 5 minutes, or yeah, I missed a week. I'll start again. That actually gets us to where we want to go faster. And the other thing, you mentioned affirmations. I have a love-hate relationship with affirmations.
Okay.
Seriously, I love-hate relationship. I used to think that, I have to say, I am beautiful and I am lovable and I am wealthy and I am loved by everyone, or something along those lines. That's what I should say. Well, I would say those things, and because I didn't believe them, I go, ugh, and I feel like such an awful person.
Mm-hmm.
So, and actually you interviewed Dana Wilde, right? I love her book. I love her book because she does stuff like, she makes the affirmations kinder, and so they stretch us a little bit, but they don't try to put us way over here when we're here being our tiny little imperfect selves. So when we do these little steps well, like when I work with clients, I say, what do you want? And they go, I don't know. I say, well, what do you want to want? Oh, I want to have more fun. And people can get behind that, right? It's okay to want it. Isn't that awesome? Right?
I never heard that. Because I'll tell you the story, but what do you want to want? Okay, good.
Yeah. And people can always figure out that one.
So let me just ask you, I'm curious now, because I went into coaching school after I had a crisis that happened during a work meeting, and my boss asked me, what do I want? And I started crying. And that sent me to coaching.
Oh.
And the question I want is probably the hardest to answer.
It is, isn't it?
What makes what do you want to want easier to answer? Is it that it is one person removed? What is it?
I think so. You're right. The question, what do I want? For almost everyone, they're just like
frozen.
Yeah, they freeze. Because one, if they want it, that means they don't have it yet. And there's a whole lot of deserving, involved in that. But want to want is like when I say to people, like one of the things I do is help people really get in touch with their body because it has so much information for us. And I say, oh, so you're feeling afraid right now. Where do you feel that in your body? And they're like, I don't know. Because, we're taught to be here. Here's where it's okay to be. And so I'd say, okay, so imagine where you would feel fear in your body. I'm like, oh, I think I feel it in my stomach. If you were to imagine what it feels kind of like it's moving and it feels tense. And I'm like, oh, okay. So it's like want to want is an imagination. And the super secret power of it is when we imagine something, we imagine what we want to want. The same neurons are firing as when we're actually experiencing it.
Wow. And
does that make sense?
Yeah. So here's what I'm getting is that the question, where do you feel in your body, requires an accurate answer. And the question, what do you want, also requires an accurate answer, which makes it impossible to answer because we're not sure or
exactly.
It's not
beautiful.
But I want to want, or where do you imagine it could be felt in your body, releases the perception side of us.
Beautifully. That was a beautiful synthesis of what I just said.
No, you can I hire you? I mean, first of all, you just gave, like, what I was thinking is like, tomorrow morning when I journal, I'm going to ask myself, what do I want to want? Like,
right.
And audience, please do that. journal. What do you want to want? Or if you're feeling something, where do you imagine it could be felt in your body?
Right.
You just gave me, thank you, Jane, you gave me a tiny framework to move past some of the things that we tend to just, it's too hard, I'm not going to answer the question.
Right.
It's too difficult, I'm not going to feel the feeling.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Bypass both those scenarios, if you want, in like under a minute.
Right.
So let me
And I think, actually, I want to follow up on that, on your previous question. I think that's one of the myths. When we change, we have to make these big changes. Like if I'm going to start an exercise program, it has to be 5 or 6 days a week for half an hour. And those little changes, like I want, like those little practices, that actually is what creates the change, what creates the sustained, lasting change. Because it's not this huge thing that we're going to fail at, but it's like, oh, here's this little step I can take. I might fail, I might not, but I can take another step. Does that make sense?
I love that. And I was just thinking, translating that in my head of, like, if, I'm always trying to eat healthier, right? And for me, the thing is that because there's so much of a should around it for me,
right.
My story, I end up, it's opposite effect. Mm-hmm. And so I'm saying to myself, like, I want chocolate cake. Okay, I can answer that. But what do I want to want?
Right.
And if I ask myself, what do I want to want? I want to have something that makes me feel great, which obviously is not going to be chocolate cake. I think it's going to, I'm going to test it. I'll let you know how it goes.
Awesome. Another one I really like is, I'm the kind of person who.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean I have to, but I'm the kind of person who likes to eat healthily. Like for me, exercising is a hard thing for me to keep a practice. I'm the kind of person who exercises. And when I say that, I'm like, well, yeah, I am. So I'm probably going to go exercise today.
Let's get my sneakers on.
Right? So it just makes it, it's like it puts us in a little, actually a play box, versus we're on the line in the race and we got to beat everybody, including ourselves, versus I'm just going to play in the sandbox and see what happens.
I love it. I love it. So I know you just published a book.
Yay!
Which I love. And it's called, I put on my glasses. Everything is perfect, just not me.
Right.
Appropriate title.
I love that title.
And I mean, I've watched you for the last few months. I know you're in a year of expansion and visibility. So what are you most looking forward to in this year, that of work?
Oh, well, talk about, how we started at the beginning of this podcast about nervousness. What I'm doing next is, like, I've been in practice for 15 years, helping people in my office, but not everybody can come into my office every week. And I'm really and this is one of those internal drives I feel this internal drive to help people be kinder to themselves. The world is full of a lot of hate and judgment and separateness right now. And in my world, the more we love ourselves, the less we judge others, right? The kinder we are. And so I want to help spread more kindness and love in the world, even as all this hate and judgment and them is being spread. So with that in mind, I'm doing something that's really making me very scared. I'm creating a 3-month program, and it's actually going to start in September, called 7 Powerful Practices for Your Inner Perfectionist. And it gives my core tools that I give to all my clients to help us be kinder, to help us stop worrying less about being a victim, to be aware of our beliefs, to take these small actions that will actually kind of naturally reduce our stress and naturally help us spread kindness to others. Because I've never ever worked with anybody who says, oh, now that I'm kinder to myself, I'm just mean as all get out to other people. Nobody has ever said that, like ever. They always say, oh, I'm so much more patient, I'm nicer, I'm kinder, I like them more, I judge them less. I'm like, yeah, it all starts here, and we spread it to the world. So I'm going to do a 3-month program starting in September. I'm very excited.
I love that. And so one question, and then I want to ask where people can find you, but we're building the Clarity TV library. So what is one book other than Jane's book.
Other than mine, yes.
One book that we should all read, and I'm taking note.
Oh, I tell this to every single one of my clients. I read it every year just to remind myself. It's Brene Brown's The Gifts of Imperfection.
Oh.
It is a super powerful, if you have any bit of perfectionism in you, if you have any bit of, I should do this, I should be this way, why am I not this? Read her book. And I've read every single one of her books. I've read that one multiple times. She is so vulnerable. She's so real. She gives us permission. And every time I'm like, I don't know if this is going to be good enough, I think Brene Brown says, just go for it. So she's actually always kind of in my head. And yeah, in my head going, it's okay, Jane. Just go forward. It's going to be okay. You're going to be okay. You're not going to be perfect, but go for it anyway. And she's so dedicated to shifting the world. I mean, she has huge fear, huge anxiety, but she just keeps going. So,
and takes it along with her.
Right, and takes her along with her. Yes, she does.
Shares it with us from such a beautiful, authentic way, and I really love that as well. So thank you. That's a great book. And so I know you're launching your program. I know you have a book that people can access. Where can people find you? Where can they learn more or explore your work?
All right. So my website is, and I love this website name, everydaylove.me. That's my website. You can sign up for my newsletter. I send out a monthly newsletter with tips on how to lead a less stressful life, just tips to be kinder, ways to shift our thinking, small ways that will create huge lasting change. So everydaylove.me. I'm also Facebook, everydaylove.me, or Everyday Love on Facebook. And
awesome.
That's how you can find me.
Awesome. Well, any last parting words?
Oh. Yeah. Everybody deserves kindness. It's like, anytime you question yourself, to all the listeners, or to you or to me, anytime we question ourselves and go, why am I so stupid? Why did I do that? It's like, imagine you're this little infant that just came out, just born, and it's just like, oh, here's life. Holy cats. If we can imagine ourselves as that little innocent infant that we still are, that's still the core aspect of who we are, and that'll help us be kinder.
Thank you. Thank you. We all deserve to be kind, especially you.
Yeah, especially you. That's right.
Be kind to each other, and especially to ourselves.
Right.
So thank you, Jane. Thank you so much for taking time today. And
thank you so much for having me on.
Everybody checks out your resources because you've given us so much to think about today. Thank you.
Thank you.